Hello, welcome to The Wandering Drew. I am Drew. I'm doing my first video since I came back from my trip on Scotland, so you'll see this. Actually, it'll be several weeks, but I wanted to go through my equipment, show you what I used again and how it worked for me or didn't work for me, and any thoughts or comments I had on it. Some birds are acting up. So I'm gonna go unpack my bag that I brought home. It weighs about 17.5 pounds. So that was my base weight probably, with no food. There's actually like a couple of bars in there, so it's a little bit heavier. But basically with no food, no water bottles, no gas, and the lighter I also gave away when I reached Montrose. So this way, because I couldn't take it on the plane. I don't want to take it on the plane, so I gave it away to the coordinators there, and they can use it or give it to someone else. But at least it'll be used and have a life hiking or being used somewhere else. So this is the shirt I got, by the way, for the challenge. Really like the back. It has the logo on it. So anyway, enough of that. I feel my equipment did very well. There's a couple of tweaks I would make to it. I feel like I had enough clothes to do the job. I probably could have gone lighter. I could have gone with only one outfit. I did bring 2 outfits. One of those did not make it home though. If you've been watching the videos, you know. So this is the pack I use. It's Z-Packs. It's performed pretty well. It has a couple of battle scars on it, on the mesh mostly, where I've fallen, where it's taken a hit a rock, or got snagged on something. Other than that, it's pretty good. It's empty right now because I emptied everything out. I do need to set up my equipment and clean it, but anyway, I'm going to go through most of my equipment and see how it did. So the clothes that I wore on the trip, I had 2 pairs of, I think it's pronounced cool pants. Both did very well. I was very happy with them. Unfortunately, my older pair, which was a black, like kind of like a charcoal black color, did not make the return trip. I noticed when I got to one of the towns, I think it was Bankery, that it had a tear in the backside, probably from sliding down a rock or sitting on a log or who knows, whatever it was. But anyway, it was a pretty significant tear that it was through. It probably could have been repaired and sewn up, but I was like, at that point, it had a couple of little tears. So I decided to just get rid of it. So I ended up throwing it away the following day. I hiked in it, and then I just got rid of it. So rather than having to wash it and clean it, I just got rid of it. So I'm a little bit lighter. The other pair, which is new, I just bought right before this trip, performed great, and I like hiking with it. I like the other one a little better. It did have zip-off legs, so it was convertible, but I liked it had a large pocket on the side, like a cargo pocket, which was really good for putting in and out of the phone, in and out of, while hiking. And it was above the knee, so if you fell, unless you fell on your thigh, it would pretty much protect the phone. So anyway, that's it. So that did well. My Injinji socks also did well. I had another pair which also did not make the return trip. They're low. They were low, like ankle height. They were trail runners. And what happened I guess I'm very heavy. I walk on the ball of my foot a lot, and I developed a hole in the ball of the foot. It was actually a hole. It wasn't something I could just stitch up and keep moving. So at that point, I figured they've served me very well. I probably have them like 2.5, 3 years. I've done a lot of training hikes in them. I've done hikes with them. So I just figured I'll get rid of them and I'll get new ones. This pair I wore the last couple of days and one day in between, and did well for me. So can't complain. My shirt, this is a shirt I had just bought. It's from REI. It was brand new for the trip. I had just bought it. It has one little hole, a little tear in the front, but other than that, it did well. And I found myself hiking in this shirt or my other one, which is very similar to it, just a different color, a little heavier actually, most of the time, and that was comfortable because I'm generating heat while walking. The only other thing that really kind of helped me out a lot was what I brought. I call this a wind shirt or wind jacket, I guess. And this one is by Montbell, and it's basically, it feels like a light, very light sail. It's very thin, very, very light. But what it does effectively is it blocks the wind. And that was generally what would cool you down. especially when you get on a mountaintop or the top of a hill or you're in the valley, that wind is moving and it's taking away your heat. So these do a good job of keeping you warm, but if it's a windy day, the wind is pulling that heat away. The same thing with my jacket, which I like this jacket. This is also a Patagonia jacket. It's like a fleece, but it's it's got a patchwork, it's see-through. So if there's a very strong wind, that wind penetrates that jacket and it takes away the heat, so it makes you cold. So the good thing is by layering, which is efficient use of my gear, I'm able to negate that chilling effect of the wind. So I would recommend, if you're going to go anywhere that's windy, get something like this. It weighs a couple of ounces. I mean, it's super lightweight. You know, it's probably less than a candy bar, and it definitely does the job of blocking you. It's just a windbreaker, in essence, and I would keep using that. So I will take that again. My buff, I wore it every day around my neck. Used it at night to cover my eyes. Remember, most nights there, up until like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, the sky was lit up still. It was very hard to sleep in certain places. There was light, a lot of ambient light, especially the RV parks. A lot of them have lights. That one night I was by the bathrooms. It became like daytime there when the lights went on at like 11 o'clock at night, 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. The sun went down and then all these lights came on. And my tent was, I mean, it was bright enough that it would interrupt my sleep, I felt. I like it very dark when I sleep, so I generally use this and I cover my eyes, I roll it over twice, and it effectively blocks out the light. So it was very useful. I also use it during the day. A couple of times I pulled it up to keep my ears, my neck, and warm from the wind or the rain hitting it. But most days I just use it for sun protection, really. So that's why I wanted the light color, and it does a good job at that. Keeps the sun off my neck and, you know, the back of my neck, and, you know, getting a sunburn here. Very frequently people forget to put sunscreen on in the front, and you'll end up seeing like sunburn in the front. So that was very good. I like that. For rain gear, I had two things really. The main thing was my jacket, my rain jacket. This is a Black Diamond rain jacket. Did a great job. I actually hiked in this probably a day or two. I was a little delayed in putting it on because it was just drizzling, but it quickly became a torrential rain. And I ended up putting on this and then my rain pants, which also did a great job. I think they're in my bag. They're lightweight. I wore them, I think, 2 times, but definitely essential gear. That one day I was getting very cold because I was in a pass. There was a strong wind, driving rain. I was wet, all the way wet. Everything was wet. My pants got wet because it rained so hard. Even though I'm walking a lot, you're getting cold because of the wind and the temperature. It was in the 40s probably, or maybe even below. So very important to have those wind pants. What they do is they stop the water from getting on you. They stop that wind from penetrating you and getting you cold. And they also allow that heat in your body to generate. And to me, it allowed all my clothes to dry out while I was hiking. So by the time I reached that day, I think I stopped at a bothy and stayed there, not intentional. Oh no, I'm sorry. I camped in my tent that day. That was the one I went to the bridge, and just past the bridge, a couple of other people, including that gentleman I met, Rob, stayed with me. And by the time I had taken the pants off later in the day, because the sun had come out and it had stopped raining as I came down out of the mountains, all my clothes were dry. So it was very, very effective. So I would recommend having rain pants if you're planning on hiking in a heavy rain. And it's not, even in the summer, you don't realize how cold you can get just by going from like 90 degrees to like 70 degrees with a little bit of a breeze. That can drop down even more, and that can chill you a lot. So, you know, you need to keep warm. You don't want to get hypothermic. Continuing with my gear, underwear, not a problem. I had 2 pairs. They both made it home. My ridiculously large hat, as I constantly reminded everyone that I had. It's quite big. It has a big brim. I felt it kept me protected from the sun a little bit. Obviously, I think I got a little bit of a sun on me. You get a lot of reflective heat. But in some of the places where it was a little drier or a little exposed, I was really glad I had this. It kept the sun out of my face, off my head, from getting me as hot as it could have been. It's a dark color, unfortunately, so it does heat up a little bit. But it's better than having the sun directly on me, and I feel that it protected me. In the rain, It also has this wide brim, so I don't get water on my face as much. My glasses sometimes would get a little fogged up, or we'd get rain on them splashing, especially if it was windy, because it doesn't matter. But I think I did better with it than without it. So I'll be keeping this, and I'll use it again if I need to. When I was hiking in the rain, very frequently I would take it off, and I would put on the hood from the rain jacket. So, and then sometimes I actually put that on top of it, which looks silly, but it's functional. It keeps water from rolling down your back. So the only other thing I have is my jacket. This is the Puffy. It's a Montbell Puffy. Very, very good. Really needed it the first couple of days of the mountains. After that, it got a little cold most days. A lot of times I would use this basically in my tent or at night or in the morning while I was getting ready, unpacking up my stuff. But I generally would not even think of hiking with this. It would be way too hot, very, very fast. And it smells bad right now, so I'm airing it out. To me, it smells bad. So it's been sitting out here for a day or so. I'm hoping it recovers a clean scent. If I have to, I'll treat it with something. But generally, that was a good thing for when you like got undressed at night or you're in your tent. It was a little cold. Some days it was actually quite windy. That wind is still going through the tent. You're out of the direct wind, but sometimes you can feel that cold permeating in that tent. So it was really good to me to have a jacket to warm up. Either that or I would actually throw my sleeping bag, my quilt over me sometimes to block out the wind. But a lot of times at night even, what I would do is 1 or 2 nights I actually slept with this. And I do like that it has a hood. I bought it for that reason as well, because that's where you lose a lot of heat. Even though I had a hat, which I'll get to in a little bit. One of the other things I would do at night is very frequently, if I didn't use my buff, because sometimes it's a little restrictive, I would put this jacket actually over my head and around my head and my shoulders. So if the wind would come by at night or I move and there's an opening created in the quilt, this was kind of blocking the wind from coming in there and making me get chilly. So I used it almost like a blanket around my head and my eyes to keep it dark. Also, remember, it also gets sunlight around 3:30. The sky starts lightening up already. By 4 o'clock, it's, you could hike. It's that bright. So the sun comes up early there. So, because it's so far north. So that was another good thing that I liked about the jacket. Every night I would usually put it around me, and it would keep my head and my body warm, and it would stop some of that wind blowing into the sleeping bag. So that's good. The only other item, I had a belt. This is a web belt, nylon belt. It's a little heavy with the buckle, but what I like about it, it's ratcheting. So I didn't have to like put a buckle in and do it. I could just, in the morning it was really easy. Just as long as I could find the slot it goes in, just click it, it would ratchet in, and it was good. A lot of times I would just leave it in the pants, just loosen it a little bit. So, and then when I would hike, I would tighten it up. My shoes, I wore the Ultra Lone Peak 6s. I have several pairs. This is my second pair of the 6s. I've had older pairs, and I'm probably going to order the new ones. They came out with the 7s. I've heard some different things on it, but I'm going to give them a try. The only problem I had with these shoes, they obviously did very well on the hike, and it's hard for you to tell, but for some reason, the way I wear the right shoe and tighten it up, when I cinch up the laces, I guess it kind of buckles right here. It kind of folds in and makes a little V shape. Well, that was rubbing on my right foot on the top of my toe, and that's where I got a blister. So I suspect that my blister that I have, which was the only blister I had the whole trip, was caused by me tightening up the shoe, trying to keep my foot from sliding forward and bashing my toes. And just this little V shape here, I know it's hard to see probably, but just that little thing there was rubbing on the top of my toe, and I believe caused the blister. So other than that, the Injinji socks did a good job, but there's only so much they can do. And now I have another pair of these, the one that I wore previously, that kind of has the same mark in the same spot, but it's not quite as pronounced, and I don't get any blisters when I wear that one. So I'll be looking out for that in the future. I'll be a little bit weird, because I thought it was the socks at first, and my rubbing, but I believe it's just a combination of the sock with the shoe and where it was rubbing. So that's it. Other than that, I'll still keep on using Ultras. I do like them. I like the wide toe box, and I think that the perform well for me. My other pair I'm actually going to get rid of now. They're worn out. All the tread is gone. This one still has some mileage left on it, but you know, I'll use them again, maybe in a swamp or something like that, in the Everglades or who knows what. I'm just going to go through my different gear here as I have it, because I've taken a lot of stuff out. And like I usually do on my thing, it's a gear explosion. I put it back in to weigh it, and I did this video before, but the weather turned and the light went bad. So I'm redoing it in daylight when it's better to see. My little towel here, it's a hand towel. I think this is from REI as well, or Sea to Summit. I can't remember anymore. Oh wait, it's an REI towel. I like it because it clips on the pack. I can wipe my hands if they get sweaty, wipe my face, blow my nose in it, use it for anything, grab a hot pot, whatever I need to do. But I use it a lot for my tent, to wipe the tent down, to clean the stakes off, and I wash it a lot if I get a chance, and I just leave it on my, I can hang it somewhere, and it's never fallen off yet, so I really like it. It's good. This little drawstring bag was a lifesaver. I borrowed this from my son because I knew I would have to carry stuff on the plane, so I use this when I travel on the plane. I carry all my electronics in this, so it's with me, any valuables I have, and lithium batteries, because you can't put those in the hold of the aircraft. They have to go with you. So things like my battery bank, you know, my GPS, all that I don't check in case my bag gets lost. At least I have the electronics and my valuables with me. Some things I'm not going to worry about, like a cable, but I generally would keep the battery bank, my MP3 player, my GPS. Obviously, I'm wearing my watch, carrying my phone, my wallet, things like that, passport, all going here. Also, in the UK and in a lot of other places, they don't give you bags when you go into a store unless you want to pay for them. They charge you for each bag. Most bags were 30 pence over there. You know, the equivalent of like 30 cents here, which would actually be like more like 40 cents. So they charge you for the bags. And you don't see as many bags in garbage and litter because people pay for them and they reuse them over and over and over. So they bring their own bags to the store. And a lot of times I would go to the store, so this would come with me. I would be carrying it anyway, and I would put my groceries in here and then walk back to my tent. So really good if I had a mile or a half mile even walk back to the RV park or wherever my tent was from the store. I could just put it all in here and keep my hands free. I don't have to carry anything. So I did like that. So I would recommend if you are going somewhere, throw one of these in. It's minimal weight, but it's going to be very useful. I wish it was a better backpack, really. But you know, I got so used to it, I didn't overload it where it was cutting into me. And I got so used to carrying it that there's a lot of times I would be walking, I would forget I have it. You know, I would go to sit down and then I realize, oh, there's something on my back. You know, on a chair or something, and then I would remember I have it. The big problem is you can forget you have it and walk away without it, as I'm not used to carrying a bag like that. So a lot of times I would put it on my arm, or I would put it on my lap, so when I stood up, it would fall, and I would see it and hear it, so I wouldn't forget it, or I would leave it out in plain view, and hopefully, you know, most places when I go to leave, I always look back to see if I left something, like a phone or keys or something like that, and I would see it. So I never left it anywhere. The other thing I had was my trekking poles. Still did a great job. They're graphite, they're lightweight. I use them for my tent as well, so they're double duty. The first half day I didn't carry them because I thought it was a nice trail. I was quickly wrong. I needed them. I had to get them out. And then the day just progressed worse than there. And then the last like three and a half days I didn't use them because it was honestly a pretty well maintained walk on a trail, so I didn't need them. But other than that, I'm glad I took them. I could not imagine doing the hike without them, really. Could I have done it? Yes. I'm used to hiking. I used to always hike without poles, but as you get older, it definitely helps out. And there are a couple of places where they do help you maintain your balance. Ford maybe an obstacle over a rock. Even on the side of the mountain, that first day, I went probably where I shouldn't have been, and it was kind of precarious. I actually lost the trail. I was following a trail. It was probably like a deer trail. Over the mountain. I thought I could get around the mountain and get to where I needed to go. I was off my route. I very quickly realized that this is not the trail. This is not someplace I should be. And I really was on the edge of sliding off this hill and going down. And it was quite some distance. I probably would have been seriously injured, if not killed. So they were very good that I could stake them in the ground and anchor myself while taking steps cautiously to get back to better footing. So, you know, I very quickly realized this can't be a proper trail. You would need equipment to continue doing this. So that's it. So they're really good. And I have these plastic caps on them so they don't poke through my bag or my transportation or threaten anybody with them while I'm in the airport or something like that. I did see people walking with the tips on them, but I feel they just wear out. You're just ruining a plastic tip. And then you don't get that same anchoring. You know, and sometimes in dirt, you need to put that in there. So I like that. This is a shipping bag. which I basically place all my gear in. And this is how I check it. And what's good about this is you don't have all the straps. You know, the thing that really ruins your bag, or potentially can ruin your bag, you can't put just a backpack on a conveyor belt. It'll get caught in a conveyor belt, wheel or a cog or something, and it'll rip. And it might end up ripping your bag, if not jamming up the machinery. So I stick it in here. It also contains everything, and it protects it. Has my name and my information on it. It's got a couple little pinholes in it, probably, from shipping. But I think it's still pretty good integrity-wise. This is a little pricey itself, but then I use this as a bag liner when I get there. I don't use garbage bags. This is Cuban fiber as well, so it's totally impervious to water. So, like I said, it's got a couple of little holes in it, but basically I'm not worried about if I'm in a rainstorm. My bag itself is going to be waterproof, but in case something does get in there, I know I have a second layer of protection for my gear. And it rolls down and seals just like the regular bag does, so I use this as a bag liner. To me, it's very efficient, and here you can see this is what I checked. And I drop this when I get to the airport, and they take it away, and at least I know it's kind of protected. I mean, obviously you can still throw it around and break stuff, but my poles and everything made the trip with no damage. So I'm pretty happy with that, and I think it works. So I'm going to continue doing it. My Katadyn Be-Free water filter performed great. I use this every time I got water. I filtered. I noticed a lot of people there do not filter the water, especially in the highlands, the mountains. They feel it's safe. But I really didn't agree with that philosophy. There were a lot of animals around. I mean, deer were everywhere and sheep were everywhere. And a lot of times you're walking through, it's farmland, it's pasture land. I'm sure those animals are defecating all over the place. It's got to be some in the water. I filtered every time. I don't know if those people got sick. Also, I noticed there, water filters are not as popular as they are here, I think. Maybe their water is better. I don't know. Especially in the highlands, you would think that it would be better in certain areas. There's nothing around, but there's still deer, and there are sheep that are loose that are out there, mostly deer. Seems that chemical processes are more popular. I did see people with the Sawyer squeeze, but I didn't see anybody with these larger, gravity-fed systems. Or I saw a couple of people, I think one or two, that had a pump system, like an MSR or someone else. I recognized it, but I did not see anybody else using this system. So, but I know like certain things are geographically more popular. So there, they seem to be very big into the chemical systems, putting the drops in or tablets to sanitize the water. I don't know what people did later on because I really didn't hike with anybody, but I know in the highlands, it seemed like a lot of people just scooped water right out of the stream or a lake or whatever and just drank it. I was a little bit more cautious. I feel it can't hurt me to do that. It was an extra step, yes, but it still works. I bought Picardian insect repellent with me. I never even opened this, didn't have to worry about it. There were flies, and the midges, mosquitoes, were not a problem at all. And that's one of the reasons why they do it in May. It was still cold enough and that they weren't a problem. We did have a couple of warm days. If that would have kept up, they told me probably in a couple of days after, you probably have mosquitoes because it warmed up a little bit. But didn't worry about that. Other things, my map case, which I got as a gift from one of my children, performed great. I'm very glad I had it. I had it in the outside of my pack. My maps never got wet or damp. It was waterproof. It sealed it, and it was available for me if I needed to do that. I just have like 1 or 2 maps in here. The rest I actually threw away to lighten up my load as I was walking. Going along with the map, here's my compass I had. I never used it once. I didn't need to. I have a compass on my phone. I also never got lost where I really needed to figure out where I was using a map and a compass, but it's good to have. I did use paper maps, and I would always recommend that anyone going out, especially in this type of environment, in the lowlands wasn't as big a deal, but in the highlands, you definitely need a map. It is easy to get lost or turned around. The trails disappear. They're not always where they are. Even though it's on the map, there may be a course or trail there, but maybe it's not used often enough to be so apparent to you. I did lose the trail several times, and I was glad I had my map with me. I would also use it at night or in the morning for planning purposes, but while I was walking, I have my maps on my phone with GPS, so it locates you much more accurately, so it's better to do that. Had to change the battery on the camera. Power started going. So batteries have been sitting for a while. So like I was saying, I used my phone for navigation primarily. I kept it in airplane mode to extend my battery life. Most of the places I did not have reception anyway, so it wouldn't have mattered. But that's an added level of security. My phone, I took a fall. It could have been lost. It could have been broken. Could have run out of power. You need to have backup. I would never suggest going out there without some sort of backup. And paper maps are the best because they don't need power. You just have to learn to read them. And I found the OS maps to be very, very detailed and highly useful. More useful than most maps I feel here in the United States. I feel they do a much better job. They have two different types with different scales, the 1 to 50,000 and 1 to, I think it's 25,000. And obviously they're very, very detailed. But I like the fact that they show like buildings and sheds and even the bothies, they're all there. So you have landmarks that you can realize where you're at. And they're just very intuitive. They're color coded. They're not grayscale. So that was good. It's just they are heavy. They do make a waterproof version if you don't want to bring a map case like I have. If I was just going to one mountain, I probably wouldn't bring the map case. I would just buy the waterproof map. They're a little heavier, but they're more durable. You can mark on them. You know, I bought a highlighter to mark my maps. I could have erased it and reused them over and over and over. So I highly recommend those maps. Going back to my backpack and continuing on. In my right pocket, I usually have stuff like, I had the compass in there. I have stickers, which I never really gave one away. I have some chopstick I used, and my small little Swiss Army knife, which was great because it has a scissor attachment. I basically used it to cut bandages and open up a package. Other than that, I really don't need it, but it's so lightweight, and you really should have a knife. If I was really going off, I would probably pick a bigger knife. My left one, I always kept snacks in, so there's nothing in there. I have no food in there now, but I always kept my my snacks for the day, hopefully till dinner. Everything should be in there, so I never have to go in my backpack. That's the idea. I really like the pouch here with the water on it. I found it very convenient. It holds a variety of different sizes. As I mentioned in one of the things, I had trouble finding different size water bottles, but I had anything from a 1 liter to 750 milliliter bottle fit in here, and even smaller. At one point I had a Coke in here, a Coke bottle, 16 ounces. So it's just very useful. It has a little elastic band that holds the bottle in place, so I liked it. In this top one here, I carry 2 items which, if I was going to do it again, I would not even bother bringing. And that is my tripod and my phone adapter. These 2 items. I think I used them 3 or 4 times. I probably forced myself to use them once or twice just because I was carrying them. I don't think, I'm a lazy hiker. I always say it all the time. I don't do a lot of walk-bys where I want to set up my tripod and go with it. For the phone, it's still an inconvenience. So I generally don't do it. So if I was to do this hike again, and I would like to do it again, I will not be bringing a tripod or a phone adapter. I may think about bringing a camera even, which is even heavier, but at least I would use it, and I wouldn't be bringing this. This was just wasted weight. I basically kicked myself in the backside numerous times for carrying these and having them. And later on, I think, one story, I just put them in my pack, actually. But, I mean, they took up space. They fell out a couple of times while I was walking, and I had to pick them up. And I was just really like, I don't even need these things. So I probably could have gotten away with not having them at all. And I would have been quite fine. It depends on your shooting style when it comes to the camera and the phone. If you do a lot of walk-bys or like B-roll, as they say, things like that, I just don't bother doing them. I didn't bother doing them. I always say I'm going to, but in reality, when I'm walking, I don't want to do that usually, so I don't. So I plan on it in my head, but I never do it. So that's it. The pack did very well. I have no problems, no complaints. I do notice a little bit of rubbing on the back of the pack. Over here, there's a little wearing out where the top layer has come off. I'll probably have to put something over that to protect it and to make sure it's still water resistant. I'll put a little tape on here. Also, I noticed some of the elastic that holds the pouches, the pockets on the hip belt are starting to wear out a little bit. So I'm sure I could probably just replace that with a new elastic cord and not replace the whole pocket. The pocket itself is still good. It's just the elastic that you tie it and tighten it. So that's good. So I feel I've gotten a lot of durability out of this. Let me see what else I have. Here's the other shirt that I wore Like I said, this one feels a little heavier. It's by a company called Woolrich. I just happen to have it. It's long sleeve. I like wearing the long sleeves because it protects me from the sun, from insects, from scrapes, and getting, scratched up as I walk through brush sometimes. So generally, this is what I wore both days, long sleeve shirt. It was chilly there too, so I mean, if it was really hot, I might go down to a shorter sleeve shirt. My trowel, the trowel was not up to the challenge of the peat bogs and the Scottish thing. You can see it's all warped. I had a lot of trouble. It was cutting into my hand. I had to put a rag around it to kind of dig in. I was only able to get like a little tiny plug. It was not the best and proper cat hole. I definitely would upgrade to a better trowel if I was going to do this again. So the Deuce number 2, just too thin for the density of the environment there. The peat bogs are just, they're hard. You're cutting through topsoil and dirt and everything, and sometimes rocks are in there. So I would bring a better trowel if I was going to do it. So that's my other pair of underwear. Nobody wants to see those. MSR Pocket Rocket 2 did a very good job, especially I was dealing with stuff measurements from the UK. Everything's in milliliters, so you have milliliters on the plastic cup. I got rid of, like I said, I would put my lighter in here. I have the tongs, and I have a bandana that protects from getting scratched up. But other than that, it did very well. I actually cooked in here, not just heated up water. There's a couple of days I made some food for several minutes, and it did fine with me. You do have to watch the heat because you do get sticking on the bottom where stuff begins to burn. So if you're going to do that, I would probably either be very, very careful and cook low and slow, or you may have to bring something that can scrub the bottom of your pot to get it clean, which I did not have, like a scrubby. This is my electronics. My power converter worked well. I have, you can see converters from A to C in here for USB ports. Did well. I sometimes wish I would have bought that powered cord because it did take a long time. This is my other stuff I brought. I brought a zip drive, an external drive. I probably should have left that home. I didn't need it. My phone had more than enough memory on it. And the cables all did well for me, except for my headphones. As you saw, I had to buy 2 pairs of headphones. I used 3 pairs. One of them died after a day, just wasn't up to the rigors of the trail. The ones I usually bring stopped working, so I ended up buying a replacement, which worked for the ride home and seemed to be working fine. So and I still have them. Here they are. So that's it, and all my adapters. The only thing I probably would have brought, if I could do it again, I would have brought another USB C plug so that I could charge this up while still charging my other stuff. I only brought 2, so I was usually frequently charging one with this and then charging up my watch and my phone, which all used USB-C. But this takes so long if it's dead. I mean, sometimes I would charge this over a day. It would take more than 8 hours. But if I could have 2 lines going in here, it would be much faster. So sometimes overnight would be enough, but many times it wasn't. And if I wanted to go like 3-4 days, this is 20,000 milliamps. It was really enough because I wasn't using a lot of power. My watch, I changed the settings so it uses less power. So I can generally get 2 to 3 days now. And my phone was the only thing that every day religiously had to be charged up. Sometimes even in the middle of the day, if I used a lot of navigation, like that one long day, and I was in the mountains, I had to make sure I was following the right path a couple of times if there's multiple options. The one day I was going through the pass, there's really only one path there. You can't lose it. But later on, I had to make sure I was going the right way where there's multiple trails, or I would lose the trail. So then I end up using the phone a little bit more. So I would usually run it down to like sometimes 50%. Some days it was 30%. Once or twice I began charging it up again when we get down to the teens. So I carried this in my fanny pack with the cable so I could plug it in while I was walking in my phone. So I wouldn't have to go in my backpack again. So planning properly. So that worked out good. My first aid kit, everything worked very well. Didn't have any problem. I actually finally used some Band-Aids in my kit to wrap my blister and protect it. So that worked out well. I brought a little pad, which I took notes on, and I kept track of mileage and some days. I really stopped doing that after like 3-4 days because I'm lazy. But I did keep track of my mileage every day, how far I went, how far I'd gone total, and I was adding them up and keeping track of that. Most of my notes I want to do, I would just do video blogs and or video logs, I should say, and keep track of it. So I have a lot of notes in the videos themselves. I also brought these 2 highlighters so I can mark up the maps with my course, because I bought the majority of my maps over there. So that was good. My headlamp is the NU25. It's super light. It weighs about an ounce. I am looking at a new one. The Nightcore has another light called the I think the NU33, which has more battery life, also a brighter light, and more options on it. But it is heavier. It's about 3 ounces. Still not a lot of weight. I never use this. I used this one time in the Bothy to look inside my pack because it was dark in there, because I was inside a room. Other than that, I could have easily not even carried this. I never used it otherwise, never turned it on. I had no need to. It was light so much, and usually I was in bed, and I wouldn't wake up again until the sun came up. So it was never a problem. InReach, great. What can I say? It does what it's supposed to. It allowed me to communicate with home when I didn't have cell service. I could check in. My family could track me on the webpage by my upgoings. Every 20 minutes or 10 minutes or something, it uploads a track, so it knows exactly where you're at. And of course, I have the security of knowing that if I get into trouble, I can call for help. One thing I did learn, there was a competitor on this trip, I should say, or there was one of the challengers on the trip took his pack off to go get water, and somehow popped out his hip, and he was actually kind of stuck where he was. He said he couldn't crawl up. You know, this is all secondhand, so I don't know how true this is, but he basically, and I do the same thing. I had it clipped to my pack, as you saw when I was walking. So if I take it off to go get water, I would do the same thing. I would take it off, grab my water bag, and I would go climb down and get water, usually in the river. Well, for somehow he popped his hip out and was unable to climb back up or claw back up the riverbank or wherever he was getting water to get help and to reach. I believe he said he had one of these, and it was like 6 or 8 feet away, and he couldn't get to it. So luckily, 2 other hikers that were on the challenge came by and were able to get him help, and he had to be medevaced out. He's an experienced hiker. I think this was his 19th challenge that he's doing. So he's got some time out there. He's not a newbie here. And it brought it to mind, like, you know what, maybe I need to keep this on me, because there's always a chance. What if I fell in and I got washed down the river a little bit, and then I end up coming on the bank, and now here I am, maybe, even if it's 200-300 feet, or it could be several hundred feet from where your bag is, or you can't get it. What if your bag gets lost? Because, you know, you fall in the water and your bag gets swept away. So it made me rethink how I'm going to carry this in the future. I may try to keep this actually physically on me in a pocket or strapped to my belt or something, so that it is actually on me, so that if I ever get injured or knocked down or fall, it is with me and not I'm staring, looking at it, really cursing myself out. So just a thought. I brought 2 pairs of gloves. I brought a regular pair of gloves, which did a good job when it was cold in the morning or even raining a little bit. Once they got wet, though, they weren't really very useful, and they're gloves. I then brought a pair of rain mittens, which I could put over these. And one day, because they were too hot with them as 2 layers, I just wore these by themselves. And because they're, you know, you have mittens, they're 4 fingers together, you got a little more warmth and a little more flexibility, but you can't use it to like work a phone or camera or anything else like that. So with this, they're electronic sensitive, and they work. So it was good. But I'm happy I brought them. I might get a pair of like thin wool gloves to wear underneath the rain gloves. That probably work well. This hat worked really good. I would wear this almost all the time in the morning or at night, and I wear it to sleep. So it keeps my head warm. It's not as big, doesn't have the big brim. But I could wear this underneath that hat, actually, with the brim, and then take it off as it got hot, and I would usually just stick it in my pocket. So a lot of layers, as you notice. There's repetition, more than one thing, helping me keep warm. My spork did a great job. What can I say? It's a spork. It does what it's supposed to. Long handle, so you don't get your knuckles and your hands dirty getting food. Here's the fanny pack that I talked about. This was very good for me. I carried my wallet, my passport, my money in here. I carried, like I said, the charging block in here, a cable. I also had my MP3 player in here, so I could reach it. Even when I had on rain gear, it was accessible in here. That's another thing. The rain gear, a lot of times I would put it over it. If I had a jacket, it would stay over it so it wouldn't get wet. It did get a little damp once or twice, but other than that, the first time I've hiked with one, and I found it very convenient because it gave me an extra pocket, and it's easier to reach than the hip pockets. The hip pockets, unfortunately for me, my waist is not that big, I guess fortunately, and it's hard to reach those pockets and open them up a little bit. They're behind you, they're awkward, you can't see in them. So my tent did a great job, very happy with it, no complaints. I do need to open it up and air it out and really clean it out good. There's a lot of dirt in here, especially in the mesh, in the corners. I'll have to vacuum that out and clean it. So that's something that I'll be doing in the future. And hopefully get the smell out of it. Same thing in my sleeping bag, my enlightened equipment. It's a 30-degree bag, did great for me. A couple of nights I was chilly. I use it like a quilt now. I'm converted pretty much. I have not used it like a sleeping bag. The only thing I might bring is like a liner, maybe, just to keep it a little bit cleaner and not smelling as much. Give me a little bit of warmth. But I found that it worked very, very well. So I'm very happy with it. I'll continue using it. If I was to do it again, I would probably bring this. I did buy another bag from Enlightened Equipment. They had a big sale a couple months back, and I ordered a bag. I still have not taken it out of the box. It is a 0-degree bag, and that's in getting ready for winter, more cold weather hiking here in the eastern coast of the United States. So if I was going to go down to like the 30s, 20s, 10s, stuff like that, I'm bringing that bag. Other than that, that bag is good for me. I'm very happy with it. This is my Thermarest Neo Air Uberlight. Pretty happy with it. The only problem I did notice is either I have a leak or the valve leaks or something, because a couple of nights, I know sometimes I spent long hours, I mean 12, 15, 16 hours in my tent. I would notice that the pad was getting low. Usually when I wake up in the morning, it was sagging. There's 1 or 2 nights where I woke up and I was actually touching the ground. So I know there's a leak. I just have to get it probably out here one day with some soapy water, see if I can find the leak, or put it in a bathtub and see if I can find the leak on it. So I'm going to work on that. But other than that, I'm happy with it. It is lightweight. If I was to do this again, though, I probably might think of bringing my X-Ped, which is made for the winter. It's a little bit warmer, I think, and I think that might be a better choice, but it is heavier. It's a couple ounces difference, but this pack's smaller and is lighter, so that's why I brought it with me. I was trying to keep the weight low. But if I knowing what I know now, I might just sacrifice bringing a couple ounces extra because it would be warmer and make me more comfortable at night. Like I said, there were a couple of nights I was chilly at night. I could generally keep warm. I would wear my clothes, put socks on. One night I actually wore my jacket. I think 2 nights I actually wore a jacket. I would usually sometimes I would wear my sweater, the Patagonia fleece, the black fleece. But one night or 2 nights, I believe I actually wore my jacket. The first 2 nights when I was out there in the highlands, it was quite windy and cold. There was ice on the tent in the morning. So it was below 30 degrees, 32 degrees. So I would definitely probably have brought the heavier one for that. So that's it. And a liner would have been good. My Trekology pillow, it's a pillow, it did great. I don't have any problems, no comments on it. Works good, it's adjustable. This is my food bag. Once again, it's the Z-Packs. Like I said, I have some stuff in here. I have mostly my energy. Pouring out. I have the energy gels. I didn't use them all. I planned on 1 per day. A lot of days I didn't even use them because I knew I was going to get to town, and I sometimes would save my calories. This is the Kind bars. They've kind of melted because I've been out here now. But I had 2 or 3 of the Kind bars. Here's another one that made the trip back. So I didn't use all my food. I did get rid of 1 dinner, or 2 dinners. They were both some type of ramen noodles, and I just left them there. I got rid of them. So I didn't use my food because I ended up, especially toward the end, eating out a lot. You pass through towns. I'd rather eat hot food. I would eat a bar in the morning, and then usually just have a late lunch or early dinner, or whatever you want to call it, and just eat there. And then a lot of times, then I got in the habit I would pick up a snack or a little something that I could take back to my tent and eat there. Towel. This is I think this is a Sea to Summit towel. Yep, this is a Sea to Summit dry light towel. Remember, most of these places you do not always get a towel. In the hostel, you might get a towel. You might have to pay for it. Some of them charge you if you need a towel because they have to wash it and clean it. So you're basically renting it. But some of the other places, like the RV park, you don't have a towel. So if you want to take a shower there, unless you want to air dry, you need a towel. So that comes in handy. This is my rain pants I wore. Like I said, good job. Have no complaints about them. Yes, they're a little hot and stuffy. They're heavy. They're bulky to put on. I do like the fact that these have openings at the legs. A lot of stuff from Outdoor Research has its own pocket, its own bag inside. So it folds into its pocket. What I did like about these is the bottom. It has a zipper, so you can put them on while you're wearing your boots and shoes. You don't have to take them off to get them over your shoes. And then you could just clip it at the bottom. Everything smells like hiker trash, so to say, as they say, right? It smells like the trail. And then I could zip them closed. So, but if I needed more room, if you're wearing larger boots maybe, you might have to leave that open. But I like the fact that I was able to get them on and off with my shoes on and not have to take them off. I'll probably rinse these off, maybe wash them a little bit just to get them clean and any dirt, but they look pretty clean. They had some mud on them when I took them off, but they look clean now, so very happy. Most of it's probably flaked off. And that's it, except for my MP3 player, which I took, which I'm happy with. I listened to well over 100 podcasts on this. I listened to 1 or 2 books while I was walking. A lot of times I had no idea what I listened to. It would just be background noise. But I did catch up on a lot of podcasts, so I'm happy for that. I'm very happy with it. I do it. It's just something to preoccupy yourself. Sometimes while you're walking, it's just like, music in the background, or sometimes a book, someone joining on. Sometimes at night in the tent, you're there for like 12, 13 hours. It's nice to be able to listen to something to distract you. I don't want to turn my phone on and waste the power, so I would use this instead. I have gotten in the habit of doing it now, and it's not a lot of weight. And it generally lasts more than 1 day on a charge. Usually I can get 2 to 3 days on a charge, but if I have time, I usually just charge it up, top it off a little bit. 10, 15 minutes is enough usually to get it ready for the next day. That's it. The only other item I have, well, two things I'll go to. Obviously my wallet. This is one my son brought me. It's a little thicker than I would normally bring, like a hiker wallet, which is a Ziploc bag, but I'm very happy with it. It carried everything I had my notes in it, had money, had my British pounds in it. That was good. Unfortunately, a lot of times you get change there, which is still bills. They're not. What I mean is they have the value of a dollar bill. It's a dollar coin or a $2 coin, a 2-pound coin or 1-pound coin, and it was good to have. I got rid of all my money. Some places did want cash only. Some of the RV parks deal strictly with cash. When you're a tenter, I guess, I don't know. A lot of them were very nice. They gave me discounted rates because I was on the challenge, and some of them even waived like security fees for their key, like for the bathroom key in one place, because I was leaving so early. They actually trusted me and didn't take a $5 deposit on it in case you lose the key. And you saw I put the key in the slot in the morning. I'm very glad I didn't forget it. My phone, the Samsung S22 Ultra, did a great job for me. I'm very happy with it. The battery life, everything, the camera, the quality is all good. There is a newer version, but I didn't upgrade. This one is about a year old, maybe a little over a year old. I'll keep using it for several more years, hopefully, at least 2 or 3. I wish it had the option to put a memory card in here, but they did away with that with all the new phones. The one I had before had a memory card. So you could actually upgrade your phone to more memory quite easily just by upgrading the card. And I had like a gigabyte card in there or something, or half a gig card. So which is really nice, half a megabyte, 500 megabytes. So that would be good for like going on a long trip, getting videos. But other than that, it had more than enough memory. I'm probably going to take most of my pictures and stuff off of this to restore the phone to have a lot more memory for my next adventure, wherever and whenever that may be. Got a couple of things in the works. But that's it. That's my gear. So if I was going to go again, I think I would probably take the clothes I brought. I don't think I would change too much. It was nice having a second pair of clothes for when I got to town. I could change. If I wanted to go lighter, though, I would definitely lighten up my load in terms of clothes. Maybe a pair of shorts. But it was cold there, and I like wearing long pants because I don't want to get sunburnt. I don't want to get scratched up, and I don't want to get bit up. So that. But like I said, I would probably get rid of or tweak very little of my items. I feel that at least I've gotten my kit kind of dialed in on what I use it for and how I use it. So I'm pretty happy with that. So that's it. That's the equipment I took. Some of the changes I would make. Obviously, I'll replace some of the items I lost. I have to buy another pair of pants probably. For hiking, I have to buy another pair of a couple of Injinji socks I'll probably buy. I do have more pairs, but I'll probably just replace them anyway. So that's my equipment that I did, how it worked for me, how it didn't work for me. The only other thing I think I might consider doing is bringing a camera still. I still like the idea of the camera, but it was very convenient not to have it, and I'm really glad that one day I fell. If I had a camera, I'm afraid it might have broken. So I was really glad I didn't have it on that day. But that's the chance you take. And it definitely would have kept my phone working longer because I used my phone as a video recorder and taking pictures. and I think it would be nice to have the higher quality photos on the camera still. I just bought a brand new camera. It's a little bit heavy, but I might have to suck it up, Buttercup, and take it with me in the future, which I probably will do. So just get in the habit of doing it. Once you get used to it, you get used to the weight. I feel I was really good. I feel like I didn't think I was in shape as much as I think I ended up being. I think I was prepared. I think I didn't have any problems physically. There's a couple of days I really tired out, and I think it's just me not eating or drinking enough. But other than that, I would definitely do more planning. Obviously, I always say that, but it's hard to do. But I think I would have try to train a little bit more. And if I was to do this again, not equipment-wise, but me-wise, planning-wise, besides being in better shape, I think I would choose a more challenging route. So now, knowing what I know, I would branch off a little bit. I would probably try to do a Monroe or two, or a mountain, and go over something to experience a little different environment and give myself a little bit of a challenge. So we'll see. That may be in the future. Other than that, thank you for watching. Thank you for taking time out of your day to watch this video. I appreciate you doing that more than you'll know, especially the comments. I'll respond to every comment I get. If you have any questions, comments, thoughts, opinions on my equipment or the trip or anything like that, please leave it in the comments below. Thank you so much for joining me again. Till we meet again.